Alright, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Titans Return Legends Class Brawn. Now, famously, there actually were two Brawns released in Titans Return. This one, and then also the little, Titan Master one that came with the little transforming weapon that turned into two different alt modes, and then the little Titan Master became Brawn's head, which was kind of strange that we got both this guy and that guy in the same series, but whatever. But yeah, that wasn't really an actual representation of Brawn. It was just kind of a little Titan Master that became his head. So, in terms of getting a G1 Brawn, this was actually one of the first figures that we'd really gotten. Maybe there was a Legends Class one back in Universe. I can't totally remember, but this was a decent figure for the time. It was never my favorite mold from this series, but it's decent enough. Now, being a Legends Class figure from Titans Return, he does of course have the little Titan Master seating gimmick. So for him, you just pretty much open up this whole thing here, and then you can take your Titan Master and pop him in there, and then got to adjust it so he doesn't run into the the peg hole there. But yeah, that works relatively well. I mean, obviously it doesn't really scale properly because you're having to open up this whole section just for one guy, whereas he definitely turns into a vehicle that would seat a couple people. But the mini bot problem, nothing new. But yeah, he does come with a weapon, this figure does come with a weapon, which is actually just attached back here. So if you want to remove that, if you don't like it, he does look kind of decent anyway without it attached. But yeah, he's got this, the spare tire weapon with his, I guess it's supposed to be the guns are supposed to be the rear headlights there, but, or tail lights, I guess I should say. But yeah, that's just how you attach those. Now, in terms of comparisons in this mode, just for the standard one, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Obviously, scale doesn't really work there. Here he is with Studio Series Brawn, just so you can see what the two of them look like together. And I'm obviously, this is a much better figure. It's much better scaling with, better, not perfect, but better scaling with other figures. And yeah, it's just better in both modes. But obviously this one came out several years later, but that's what two of them look like together. And then here he is with Power of the Primes Outback, who actually, I like this figure a lot better as Outback than Brawn, which is really more to do with proportions and stuff in robot mode. But that's what the two of them look like together. Otherwise it's just exactly the same figure. But yeah, to get onto transformation, obviously we'll just take off his little weapon here and put it off to the side. Then you want to take this entire back section and just unfold it like this, and we can untab the legs and then flip out his little heels here. Then you take the arms, they kind of just hinge out of the side here, rotate them forward, and then double hinge them down. And there we have Brawn in his robot mode. And yeah, it's a decent little robot. I think that he's a little bit too long in the torso to be Brawn, and a little bit less bulbous and chunky in this area. But that's mostly to do with accommodating the Titan Master gimmick. But yeah, if he was just a little bit more squished up this way, I feel like he would be a pretty decently proportioned Brawn. Now, in terms of the weapon, you can have him hold it like that if you want. I mean, I think it looks kind of silly. You can have it pegged onto the side of his arm, because he does have 5mm pegs on his arm, which again, looks a little bit better, but still a little silly. Or you can just store it on the back there using that 5mm hole that was on the alt mode there. And that works fairly well. But yeah, in terms of articulation, unfortunately, he's got nothing at the head, and there's not really a great reason for it, as we'll see when we come to Outback. But yeah, the head is just static in place. The shoulders are on ball joints. You also have that transformation joint to kind of go out to the side a little bit more. The elbows are on ball joints, which can give him a bicep swivel and a little over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. Nothing at the waist, hips, ball joints, forward, back, out to the side. It's got a thigh swivel, which that doesn't usually happen, but it's on a mushroom peg, so it can come off. Yeah, I guess this one's got a little bit of flash on there. I kind of forgot that he had that issue. This one's fine. But yeah, he's got a really deep knee bend just because of how it folds up for transformation. And then nothing at the feet. They're just kind of in that sculpted A stance. You can bring the heels back a little bit to kind of fake a forward ankle tilt, but it doesn't really help all that much. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, average deluxe, average core class, Titan Master, just for a few standard things there. Here he is again with Studio Series Brawn, who, yes, obviously I like this guy a lot better. He's just, much better proportioned, much bigger, has a better looking alt mode, more interesting transformation, better articulation, pretty much the works. But, this was a fun little kind of pocket Brawn for the time. And then here he is again with Outback. And yeah, the one big improvement that they made with Power Up Prime's Outback is he actually does have a head swivel, which is nice to see. And I've always just in general liked this figure a lot better as Outback than Brawn, just because, they have that typical thing of like, yes, their G1 toys were the same mold, but they really redesigned Brawn a lot more for his cartoon design. And then when they were designing Outback for season 3, they made him a lot closer to the proportions of the toy. So in the cartoon, they actually look quite different, even though they're based on the same toy. And I feel like that this body type in general just works a little bit better for Outback than it does for Brawn, who's supposed to be a little bit, rounder, chunkier, more of like a bruiser, whereas this guy's kind of like a little bit lanky, just with the length of the torso there. So yeah, it works decently for both of them, but I just think it looks a little bit more natural on Outback there, and it helps that he also has a head swivel, because then he can actually turn his head around in alt mode and just get a little bit more dynamic poses, whereas there's really no good reason why, because there's the space for it in there since he's got it, but yeah, there's no great reason why this guy didn't have a swivel to begin with, since they could just attach the mushroom peg on the torso and then have the head have the swivel bit, which is, I assume, what this guy has. Might even be a ball joint for all I know, and then just doesn't get any wiggle for the shape of his head. I've never taken it apart and checked, but either way, yeah, I like Outback a lot better. And then he's got, the nice leg detailing, all that. But either way, still a fun little figure. Just has never been my favorite Titans Return, Legends class figure. He's decent. He's just, we've got a much better Brawn now. And I don't really find myself wanting to go mess with this guy all that much. He was just kind of a stepping stone, a decent enough figure for the time, but not really all that exciting in its own merit. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Titans Return Brawn, the Legends class figure.